Hi, Stuart.
Yes, sir, Rafi.
Uh, Lately, I'm realizing that since I was very young, a lot of my action are, I have some very deep attachment to struggle. And I trying to find a way to move it out of the way or to ease it up, but I feel as if I don't have a struggle, I don't know what to do with myself a little bit.
Rafi, I feel the same way. I don't have a struggle in life, something big that I have to deal with in my life. Uh, and that something big, it serves a purpose.
Mm,
You understand? Because in order to deal with it, I have to get stronger inside myself. I
right.
have to get more focused in the chakra below the navel. I have to develop the whole chakra system and get it to a point where it's strong enough to deal with situations that are much bigger than I am. And I think that's a very important aspect of growing, of learning about life. I mean, when I was younger, and it's a true story, I would throw myself into situations that were absolutely absurd. If
Yeah.
I sat down and thought about them for 5 minutes, I would have run for the hills. I mean it. And yet I was like jumping into the Pacific Ocean, and trying to swim for shore, and yet every one of those situations made me very strong because I realized that the only way I can deal with these things, and these were all money things and financial things I got involved in, and the only way I could deal with these things is I had to get bigger in myself. I had to transform them from this gigantic mountain into a little hill where they became manageable. And the only way I could do it, I had to grow inside. I couldn't expect the external world to do that for me. I had to grow. So each and every one of the situations became an opportunity for me to grow. And as I kept doing these things, I had less fear of them. I had less fear. I mean, it went from selling wagon wheels in Texas, to selling major works of art to museums all over the world. But in order to get from one place to the other, I really had to grow in myself. I had to really grow. I had to get strong. Otherwise, I saw too many people in the kind of business I was in get destroyed by the business.
Mm.
They became greedy. They became, the whole humanity got sucked out of them, you know? And I said to him, I'm not going to allow that to happen to me. And the only way I could keep it from happening to me was building a chakra system that was strong enough to transform this impossible situation into something that I could deal with, and was no longer intimidating, threatening. I got big enough to turn it into something small. And I mean it. It was the only answer. I don't have another answer to that. I mean, sure, in your business, I'm sure you meet a lot of very rich people and you see what happens to them, it's like their energy. I mean, there's something wrong. It's all in money and money and money and money. And the whole humanity gets sucked out of them into that greed. And I used to meet people like that all the time. They were essential for my business. I could not allow myself to get to be like them. It meant I had to build a very strong inner life that was connected to energy that was so far beyond this
Mm.
test that if I took it into myself, it enabled me to grow and to get very strong inside. But it's the
It's
only
something
answer
that can be used.
huh?
So the struggle is something that can be used for growth, basically.
Yes, yes, it's very important to have some kind of struggle in your life. It's very, very important. Instead of wanting to go on vacation all the time. Oh, I shouldn't say that because I'm going to take some days off in a couple of weeks, but it's not all the time. You master it. because you get big enough inside. And the only place I discovered to master it was I had to go to a higher source of energy, draw it down into my chakra system, and enable it to build me inside so that I didn't get destroyed by these situations, these impossible situations. I mean, I always tell the story, and it's a true story. After Rudy died, Rudy was probably the biggest Oriental art dealer in the world. He had, you know, buildings full of inventory of stuff. It was unbelievable. And his mother called me up after he died and said, "How would you like to buy, a couple of truckloads of art from me?" And I said to her, "Ray, do you know where I live? I'm living in Texas, in Denton, Texas, like Baptist America here. Who's going to buy Buddhas and Krishnas here?" And she said, "Well, think about it." I thought about it, Rafi, and everyone else. And I called her back 10 minutes later and I said, "I'll do it." I had no idea why I was doing it, but I said, "I'll do it." I put myself in debt for a fortune, a fortune. And then when I kept looking out there there were no end, I kept going up here. I kept getting strong. And I started attracting clients in Denton, Texas, who was buying the stuff. And then I put it all away because something else came up. And when I moved back to New York, I had an inventory. It made it look like my gallery had been in business for 20 years. And then the business just boomed. It really grew exponentially, from wagon wheels to, I mean, I'm talking serious levels of, business that took place. And that only because I knew there was only one place I could go to get the energy to keep from being destroyed by that. And I kept building a chakra system and took care of it, paid back my debts and took care of everything. So struggle is really important, but then conscious use of struggle to grow spiritually and to build yourself as a human being is more important. But you need the struggle. You need the struggle in life. And I can tell you 20 stories like that, that I did crazy. And as I would have thought about them, I never thought about them because Stuart, you got to be insane to do this. And I just did them. I mean, building an ashram in Denton, Texas. I mean, you can't believe what that place was like. It was like the end of the world. I used to go out to the edge of the town and I thought I was in the Middle Ages looking at seeing dragons coming up from the and I built this situation there that was, staggering. I mean, beautiful house, a temple, it was extraordinary. And I finally realized there's nothing else I can do here. I could live here and spend the rest of my life here and get hugely successful financially, but my life would be over. And I decided to move back to New York. I said, if I can do this in New York, I can do it anywhere. And within 2 years, it grew it was unbelievable what took place.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have a question? I'm not trying to intimidate anyone, but whatever level we function on in life, you need to have something a little bit stronger to test you. You need it because it'll make you grow. I mean, I once said to Rudy, I'll never forget, I said, I'm thinking of moving to India and going to an ashram there. And he looked at me with a little smile on his face. If you go do that, he said, the only thing that'll grow is your ass. That's what he said to me. I never forget it. He said, your ass will grow, You need the rough and tumble of what you have in this world you live in here in order to make your life work. So, it's really interesting. I'm talking about, I want to move from where I am. I want to get a place I could run maybe as a center and people come and stay there and, train people, which I got to do. And all of a sudden, some business thing came up that is amazing. And if it really works, it could pay for this. And it just came out of the blue. And I always say that God sends you exactly what you need. And if you continue growing spiritually, it's amazing what the universe sends you. So we'll see what happens. I hope it works. It was very interesting. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? And you become kind of a spiritual warrior, and everything that manifests in your life has a singular purpose to teach you how to grow,
Mhm.
teach you how to become deeper, stronger in yourself, more human, less attached to the rewards that come in life. Does anyone else have a question? I'd like Okay. If there are no more questions, great question, Ralphie. I really, it's a very important question, not only for you, but for everybody here. Does anyone else have a question? And the funniest thing of all, look, I'll just finish that whole thing. I've said it before, but it's really funny. When I went up to see Rudy's mother to buy this 2 truckloads of art, I went to her gallery, and everything was too expensive. I couldn't buy anything from her. Finally, after spending literally a whole day there, I finally left and said, well, what the hell? What do I need this for? So that evening, I was teaching a meditation class at a friend of mine's apartment in Manhattan. Suddenly, Rudy came to me and he said to me, bring my mother a bottle of scotch. I swear to God, this is a true story. Bring my mother a bottle of scotch. I said, okay. I went down the next day. I went to a liquor store and I bought a bottle of Chivas Regal because I knew she liked Chivas Regal. I went into the gallery. She was there. Hi, Stuart. How? And I gave her the bottle of scotch. The whole energy changed. All of a sudden, things got half the price. She made me lunch. I mean, it was extraordinary. I mean, I got in the Oriental art business because of a bottle of scotch. I mean, this is really true, the true story. And she couldn't do enough, and the prices go down. And Stuart, okay, we can do this and that. And I mean, life is so strange, and you never know what works. You never know what works. Bring my mother a bottle of scotch. Got into this big business because of a bottle of scotch. Okay, if there are no more questions, thank you, bless you all, and there'll be meditation on what is today, Tuesday, on Thursday. Looking forward to seeing everybody. Have a wonderful evening and day, or wherever you are. And God bless you all. Thank you for being in my life. I really appreciate it. Bless you all.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you, Stuart.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.